Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Cloud City. Cloud City is a 2020 release from Blue Orange Games. It plays from 2 to 4 players. I say Blue Orange, and instantly we get feelings inside of, oh, I know the Blue Orange games, like Photosynthesis, for example. We know that their quality and their appearance on the table is three-dimensional. So photosynthesis has those three-dimensional trees that go out onto the board. This also has that three-dimensional feel to it. You are placing towers onto the tiles that lay in front of you, and you are building up a city in the clouds. You never see the bottom of the towers, you just see the tops of them. You are gaining points, or votes they call it in this game, from having walkways that go between two of the towers. And that's really the game, is placing these walkways around, placing the tiles in such a position where the buildings that go onto the tiles will allow you to connect walkways to each other. You will get more points or more votes for longer walkways, but the shorter ones are not to be denied as well. They can actually take it from a match game to you win by 1 point. And that is how I found this game plays. It plays close. It may just be that I'm playing with people who have a similar mindset when we play the game, and so they're thinking the same way as I'm thinking. And because you're realistically working on your own board, what the other person does has no effect on you. In fact, I will pull that a little bit. The only effects that you need to watch out for is the number of walkways of a certain size that are available. So the largest walkways, which are 8 points worth, and go from the outside of the board to the outside of the board, because you're setting the tiles when you add them in, you're in a 3x3 grid. So the longest walkways are from the outside to the outside within that 3x3 grid. They're worth 8 points, but there's only 3 of each color. There are 3 different colors of building, or 3 different heights of building: the blue ones, the green ones, and the beige ones, or the brown ones, or whatever color you wish to call them. I believe they refer to them very briefly as sea or water, forest and desert, or something to that effect. Those names feel tacked on a little bit. That's just me, but it doesn't really matter too much. I just play with the blue, green, and brown. And so you end up with this thing of, if you are placing, like, you're building towards one of those really long ones, but all 3 of those have already been taken, you're actually not going to be able to join those 2 buildings together at all. And you've got to be really careful about that you just don't assume that there's going to be markers there or pieces there that are going to be able to join those buildings together. That feels like it's kind of the downfall of the game, but it's actually the thing that keeps you watching what the other players are doing. So if all the other players are going for the C version of the 8-point walkways, it might be worth going for one of the other building types, because there's 3 for each building type. So theoretically, there's 9 possible on there, even though in your own board, you could probably only get 4 of them on, maybe 5, but that's probably a bit of a stretch, depending on your positionings on where you put the stuff. It's a real finicky, why did I build towards that if I wasn't able to get that? So that's the one thing you really do have to keep your eye on and keep watching out for are there going to be enough pieces for me to be able to do what I'm trying to do? Obviously, when you get to the shorter walkways, there's a whole bunch more of them, so it's not as much of an issue. I believe, I haven't played it 4-player, but I believe when you get into the 4-player game, that may become a bit more of a just got to watch the numbers of how many of those pieces have gone out. I have noticed that the larger ones go very quickly, because that's the big points. That's what people work towards. That's the 8-point thing. In the end of the game, you're literally getting points for how long those walkways are and how many of those walkways you have on your buildings. And you can build the walkways at any of the 3 levels. You can't build them between the levels, but they go underneath or above each other. So being able to actually manipulate your 3-dimensional thought process to enable you to have shorter buildings that are going to get a long walkway, and then bigger buildings over here which are going to get a long walkway, and those come over the top of each other, that's fine. The other thing you've got to bear in mind is that adding those walkways is entirely optional. You could build buildings and then at the end of the game, in your last move, add all the walkways. The problem with doing that is if the walkways that you wish to add have already been taken, then you're not going to be able to add them. This is the interplay between players. What one person does affects what another person can do by the number of those walkways. Other than that, on your turn, you're literally taking one of the 3 tiles you've got in front of you, place it into your city square, or if you're playing a 2 or 3 player game, you could go to 3x4 instead of 3x3. But you're placing one of those tiles into the square, putting the buildings onto it, and then making the choice of whether to put walkways between the buildings that are in your city. And it can be anywhere in your city that you wish to add them. That's the game. It goes for 8 turns until there's a 3x3 grid, because you start with one already. Or if you're playing a smaller player count game, so you're playing to a larger grid, you get 11 turns. That's pretty much the game. That's all there is to it. I fear that coming at this game, I was hoping for more. I think I was hoping for more. I'm not 100% sure that I was hoping for more, but I think I might have been. But this being a blue-orange game, they aim at the easier end of the market. And if you can get comfortable with that and just go, okay, this is the thing on the table. It's just how can my mind work for manipulating what I have in front of me, then the game works just fine. It's not anything larger than that. It's just place stuff down, put tiles down. That's pretty much the game. I have enjoyed my plays of it, even though it didn't quite come to the mark of what I was expecting, but I was probably expecting too much out of this, seeing that this is a blue-orange game, and that's realistically what they're kind of aiming at, is that lower end, the ability to be able to sit down with your family and everyone have a relatively even play of the game. Of course, adults will play it easier than children will, but still having that thought process in there. I kind of appreciate those types of games. It means that I've got a game that I can pull out at the beginning of a game night while I'm still waiting for people to turn up, which will just happen and we can play it and get through and move on without too much dramas. I kind of appreciate this game. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the games I've been trying to play or have been gradually working their way into my collection over the last however many years have been these 3-dimensional city building games. I don't know what that is. I feel like I may be searching for something that I haven't yet found. This has kind of gone the closest to it, of just having that 3-dimensional ability and connections, and there's something there. I know there's something there. I know there's a game there that is going to fulfill everything that these ones have promised to build towards. But I just feel there's like that little something extra is necessary with these games. So look, I will leave that there. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplay and Gamesplanation to get a feel for how Cloud City actually plays and see if you would like it or not. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.